Network. I firstly want to say thank you for being a big supporter of our event over the last few years. I think you've been one of these people that's shown up to everything that we've ever done since the very beginning. And in fact, you spoke last year and gave a very good talk at the Superyacht Technology Show 2022. And as you know, we're now taking a year out following our investment by Wilfer Matea to build the new show for March 2024, going to a pre-season model. So I think one of the starting questions I had, what we were touching on a minute ago, was on your hat, with your hat on as MYBA president at this point, would you say you would see any benefit in brokers, charter brokers attending the Superyacht Technology Show?
Well, technology is becoming such an important aspect of your operation that I actually think everyone should know a bit about technology, and I think it's an area that is imperfectly understood. It depends upon the age of the broker and the age of the client as to how important this sort of knowledge is. Maybe an older broker and an older client perhaps can gloss over it a bit, but a younger client is definitely interested, and I would have thought that actually the younger brokers, be they sales or charter, should have an interest in the latest trends that are taking place in technology, because it's moving so fast, and it actually has a material impact upon the charterability or the saleability of the yacht. So I would say, yeah, there should be. It is something that brokers and brokers of all flavors should be interested in.
So on that kind of similar subject, I suppose I'm interested. I mean, you know my opinion. I think, the Monaco Yacht Show is a fantastic show, for example. And I think lifestyle technology definitely has its place at somewhere like the Monaco Yacht Show. But our vision, of course, is to push something where it's specialist technology, where you have things that are unseen on the yacht, the data servers, the VSAT, the stabilizers, things like that. We can create an environment where it's not diluted by mixing brokerage and technology together. So that's where we want to go. How do you see the future of technology at a show that is primarily, whether it be Palm Beach or Monaco, primarily a brokerage show?
Yeah, most of the B2C boat shows, the goal is to present the yacht in the best possible way for the client. Apart from the odd B2B show like the MYBA Charter Show and the ECPY Open Days, which are very much sort of B2B focused. I think in both shows there is a need for brokers to have a sort of a grounding in the latest trends in technology, so that they can talk intelligently about it, because technology, of course, is moving more and more into every aspect of the operation of the yacht, right from the sort of the operation of the bridge to obviously the operation of the machinery and the communications and IT stuff on board. So never mind the entertainment stuff. So it's so far-reaching in the yacht that I think it's basic information that everyone needs to have a handle on. And of course, technology is going to move very much into the training world as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's basically it's a question of time, isn't it? I often found a lot of my meetings getting cancelled at brokerage shows because someone's there to primarily sell a yacht. And so what we hoped, obviously, with the Superyacht Technology Show for March 2024 is to create something which is completely dedicated to technology. Everyone is there only to talk about technology, to learn. There's training rooms, there's different halls dedicated to everything from sailing to the engine room, right through to AVIT and VSAT. So I suppose that's what we want, is the kind of undiluted. And maybe in the future that what we'll see is pick your yacht at the Monaco Yacht Show, come and have a look at all of the background technology at the Superyacht Technology Show. Not saying we won't have lifestyle technology, of course, because we will, over there also. And I think engaging with training is really important for the future as well. We actually, during the build of the show, we have a number of rooms that are available upstairs in the World Trade Center, so they won't be affected by the build of the show, that are varying from very large rooms to smaller rooms that can be used by companies that want to offer training that are on site. In your your BlueWater hat, one of the things we find sometimes is we will get a message from, say, an AVIT officer who will say, look, I desperately
Excuse me.
wish to attend your show. However, even though the owner's not on board and we're essentially in refit season, I've been told I'm not allowed to leave the yacht in case something goes wrong, i.e. the TV breaks in the crew mess or something like that, which obviously we do have a lot of AVIT officers that can attend, but it is disappointing to hear that sometimes. Do you think that mentality is maybe going to change in the future?
Well, I think so. I think I already know of one AVIT officer who actually lives in Burgess Hill and works remotely because he can dial into most of the systems on board, and he only ever really visits the yacht when it's in a when it's alongside with no guests or boss, and or it's in a refit period. So because he can actually deal with a lot of what he's got to deal with remotely, unless of course there's actually a significant breakdown. So I don't think it's necessarily the case that AVIT officers or ETOs have to be locked on board. Yeah, so I think it's I think the success of your show will depend upon how interesting the tech is, because for a lot of people, especially younger people, tech is fundamentally interesting. It's stuff that's exciting and stuff that people want to learn about, especially at the cutting edge. So I think there's some good potential to
Well,
get people across.
well, I suppose that's really what we're trying to achieve, is one, addressing a technical audience. Some of the talks that we'll have will be quite technical, and the great thing is people can obviously like pick and choose. They don't have to be. There are only 500 seats in the auditorium, and we're looking for between 1,000 1,500 delegates to attend this year. So not everyone will be able to fit in all of the time. We'll find solutions around that, but of course some will be fully booked out. And then we mix it with, people like we've had before, the head of innovation from Philips. Last year we had the designer of the Dr. Beats headphones, Dr. Dre's headphones, Beats, who's developed a new, you're probably sure you saw it. I don't know if you tested it out, but a $50,000 entry level headphones that can be customized around the soundscape of your yacht. So yeah, we always want to keep it exciting. But I think from the feedback we had as well was it was all about experience. People want stands they can go onto and they can experience technology. It's not enough to be told about it only. It's like to live it. And so one of the things that we're doing in partnership with a number of companies is building an actual cinema on site that people will go and have a very nice experience with, and continuing that partnership with Maserati. Did you do the kind of the Formula One track in the Maserati last year?
No, because is that actually that was a real Maserati, wasn't it?
It was an electric Maserati that basically one of our partner business, Summers Faber, that puts all of the speakers inside. So what we did is you could go away for half an hour, sit there, listen to Sonos Faber.
Yeah.
Of course, the soundscape's very different in an electric vehicle to one, with a motor. And then you could go around the legendary Formula One track in Barcelona for a quick tour, just to wake you up after lunch on there.
Would I have actually been driving the Maserati?
No, it was a professional driver, but that would have
I
been
should have
nice,
done
wouldn't
that.
it? But
Well, the
just not
buggers would
sure they were willing to hand that over in Barcelona traffic.
No, fair enough. I mean, they really shouldn't to me anyway, with my eyes. But yeah, had I realised that, I might have done it actually. Yeah,
Yeah,
sounds.
it was fun. Yeah, we should have made that more clear. We will for the future. So look, as you know, we always try to be the kind of Sawyer Latte San Francisco, young, dynamic TED Talks, 15-minute talks like you did. That's our goal. We want to keep everything very cool and hip. So as you say, there's a different dynamic. Is there a lot more technology buyers? I mean, I'm talking like Jeff Bezos, but obviously young tech, millionaires, billionaires that are coming into the market buying yachts now.
Yeah, I think I mean just about anyone um, under the age of 30 is tech obsessed, and it sort of perhaps decreases slowly, sort of above that age. But actually, maybe that's a bit young these days. But I think never mind how wealthy you are, that there's a big buy-in to tech because it's changing so fast. I mean, with AI and all the other developments and VR. we're not quite there yet in pulling them all together, but it's really happening very rapidly, and I think it's a very exciting time. This exciting time in training as well, because I'm just about to replace my simulators, and I think I've chosen the company that I'm going to work with, which is somebody we've not worked with before. But the reason I've gone for them is because I think they have quite a futuristic approach to technology. So, and I think that's going to be appealing for a lot of people. But I know that a lot of there are some UK nautical colleges doing some fairly advanced research projects with Microsoft and some sim manufacturers in the world of combining simulators and AI. And I think the next 5 years are going to be very interesting. And I think that will also impact on board, because one of the things that we need to develop and change is the quality of training that actually takes place on board, especially on board yachts. And I think technology is going to open up the pathway for that as well.
So your philosophy as BlueWater Training from your talk last year is that everybody on board should have a basic knowledge of the technology on a super yacht.
Yeah. So this, I mean, basically, the big associations have all got together to form an alliance, and that's what's going to host this AVIT standard that I presented at the tech conference. It's going to be hosted in one of the members of the alliance, it's called IARMI, which is the association of all the training providers, including all of the major UK nautical colleges who are at the cutting edge of technology because they've got the budget. So it's an interesting combination. So this training standard is basically on 3 levels. Level 1 is basically for all crew, so that every crew member on board has a basic grounding in the fundamentals of technology, which the only thing missing at the moment is the cybersecurity element, which we're in the process of filling in. Then level 2 will be for really it's a training standard for yachts that don't actually carry professional AVIT officers or ETOs, which is the majority.
Yeah, of course.
But it's such an important area of knowledge, even for small yachts, that it will hopefully fill that gap. And eventually, once we've got those 2 right, we'll work on a proper training standard for the AVIT bit, which won't overlap with the Merchant Navy ETO qualification, because actually you don't learn about video systems and not really that much about IT systems on the ETO course. So it will very much be complementary to what's out there already. But anyway, we'll do that at the end. But this is essential knowledge. The flag authorities and the IMO are never going to care about this. Well, not within the foreseeable future anyway. In fact, they probably will at some point. But they're looking at sort of higher level ETO qualifications, but they're never going to care about the quality of the video or the sort of stuff that we worry about on super yachts. So this is something that we have to take charge of ourselves. So that's why the Super Yacht Alliance needs to exist, because it will create that standard.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'll make it compulsory, not because the flag state says so, but because the industry says so. So it can become the voice of the industry. That's the goal. I don't know if we'll make it, but that is the goal. That's what we're trying to.
Well, as you know, we try to support it, and we'll continue to try and support it. And I think there are people like, Fergus is doing his Super Yacht Steering Council initiative and things like that. And I think there are a lot of people who want to try and drive this forward. So I suppose part of our strategy with the show, which I wanted to talk to you about, is the change of dates. So we are moving to March, and some people say, why are you moving to March? What are you doing there? So we, of course, it's a very crowded space in September, October, November. And I said, we really want to see a separation between brokerage and, technology when it is technical, so that it's undiluted, so that we can learn about it without any confusion. But also in terms of engaging the owner. Certainly from my days selling technology, what I found was not only the kind of difficulties I've already expressed about brokerage shows and getting a meeting cancelled, because, it's about selling yachts. Is actually also that you're completely out of sync with the refit season. With a new build, doesn't matter. You're either in the specifications or you weren't at the very beginning. But you come to October, November, all that's left is emergency budget. And yet there's a whole load of problems, which then the owner, arguably, depending on where they're from, has gone back to New York or wherever, and he's a bit uninterested in their super yacht and gets a bill for a complicated thing that they don't understand, but that will fundamentally affect the quality of their experience on the yacht. So it gets denied. So what I was thinking was to go to March in our own space in a pre-season model, then use our network that's now 28,000 strong to, and will increase between now and then, of course, to target those people that came along to previous events, to this event, and to target them with material that can explain to the owner a real impact of something they could change. So, for example, I don't know, the hydraulics. If they're having a particularly choppy experience at one point, and they can say, right, look, these are your options, different types of hydraulics. VSAT, everyone's talking about Starlink I hear both sides of the tale in my job. So from one side, very difficult, it's very disruptive because of course they don't offer any margin to anybody, and I could buy one for the same price as most other people. That is pretty disruptive to the industry. On the other hand, they are delivering this amazing network of LEO satellites, and it's incredible. So that's where we think we can convert complex technology into a language and impact that the owner can understand. And that's where we think we want to be really clever, is when the owner's on the yacht during the season in the Med, and they say, you know what, I hate this, or this is really annoying me. And they can say, look, here's digestible, understandable solutions that you can put in place in next winter's refits. You don't, otherwise it's last minute all of the time. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, and I think March, because April starts to get a bit crowded for shows, certainly over in Europe. So March would seem to make sense because it's long enough after the sort of the Christmas New Year sort of down period, and before things really get ramped up. So yeah, that might work actually.
Good. Well, I'm pleased to hear that, because that's a bit of a fundamental part of the strategy. So I would say, is there anything else in terms of, oh, by the way, with your simulators, can you actually transport them? Would you be able to bring them to the Superyacht Technology Show and demonstrate what it would be like, put one in one hall and simulate it into the other hall, or something like that with VR masks, or is that unrealistic?
Don't know.
We'll find out. We'll find out.
I've got another demo. I've still got to make the final decision. So
Okay.
that will be that will be done over the next sort of 4 weeks. But I'm hoping that we go for this new company that we found, because I like their approach. But if the existing company that we've been with for a while end up cutting their quote to the sufficient level like they did last time, then maybe
the thing is,
but actually I'm not excited by that. I'm excited by going with these new guys. So I'm hoping that's what we're going to do.
Well, if we put that on social media, you might have a whole bunch of other companies contacting you, and suddenly you got some more leverage for your negotiation.
Well, the thing is, this new company are getting quite into online.
Right.
And that's something, because online learning is something that we're very much getting. We're setting up a production line for producing the online product for our new app that we're going to launch shortly.
So this is a new BlueWater app then?
Yeah, it's a new BlueWater app. Yes,
BlueWater training app specifically.
Yeah, I'm talking BlueWater specifically here. Yeah,
okay.
But there's lots of tech stuff that's coming in for the associations as well. I mean, it's again nothing finally decided, but there's quite a lot of IT investment. It's already happened in MYBA, but in the IARMI with the training providers, there's a virtual learning environment which I'm hoping will get approved, and that could be a game changer actually in a number of ways, because it will allow for digital training record books, which will hugely improve the learning experience of crew on board. One of many things, but this whole idea of having a simulator environment which you could access online easily, that really was. There are a few things out there, but they're a bit clunky and they're quite expensive. And I think that this might be an interesting solution. So once I've actually got my head into it a bit more, I'll tell you a bit more, Jack.
Yeah, I think it's a bit like Meta or something. I'd love to see the show become metaverse accessible and products to be able to be seen in augmented reality at some point in the future. But as you know, that's it's still something that is kind of developing. Funnily enough, actually, though, I'm going to go and see the UK's first major meta centre in Bristol, which big part of with Bristol Uni and a guy called Andy Littledale, which I think was the first person to ever sell their company to Twitter. Which will, by the way, is now Andy Littledale is looking like he is going to be signed up as a speaker for the show. So one of our briefs is to obviously bring forward what is happening at the cutting edge of within our super yacht sector, but of course it is also to bring people from outside the super yacht sector at the very top of their game to look at our industry, over a year or 6 months and say, how do they see the vision for the future of what they are already experts in for us? I think that's very important. I think sometimes, I've said this many times, we're too inwardly focused, and I do think, it's great when we reach out. It's good, to whoever it may be, Microsoft or all this company in Bristol, and see what they're doing, and how it can blend with what we're doing. Just to get back to the MYBA side of things and the brokers, obviously I would cap the number of brokers that could say attend our show, because we don't want it to be too many, but in a learning capacity, those that would see their job working with more of the Jeff Bezoses or whoever are having a deep understanding of technology, I would definitely say we'd be open to a collaboration with MYBA to offer brokers to be able to attend. And it might work well, of course, in terms of, the timing as well, kind of, pre that season. And like you say, just to really weaponize the knowledge, to go along and go, right, okay, now a fundamental understanding of different aspects of tech that are happening on board and what the impact of changing technology is going to be. So that might be something that we can later discuss.
Well, I'm constantly looking at ways of adding value to MYBA membership, because the membership is growing all the time. But I'm keen to make it meaningful to be a MYBA member. So advantages going to shows like this one would be great, actually, if we can offer that through the association to our membership. That would be brilliant. So I'm certainly interested in looking at that.
In the same way in which we want to work with more management companies, BlueWater has been very engaged with us. You sponsored us as the official management company last year, which was fantastic. You've engaged in helping us to reach out to all of your crew as well, and that's something we want to see everybody doing, because it's ironic. I won't mention the name, but there was a large management company, a very well-known management company last year, that we actually found out from a number of AVIT officers that they were offering to pay for them to go to ISE, which is the biggest technology show out there. But as you know, we ran a curated tour of ISE this year for the very reason that it is utterly pointless to send somebody there, and overwhelming, as per our feedback from the previous year at ISE, somebody there on their own. It's vastly bigger than Metz.
Well, I actually thought Metz was too big. When I wandered around there last year on my own, I mean, it was too big to take in. But I think ISE is even bigger than that, isn't it?
It is. They left the ride because they outgrew it, and they still want to expand, where they're doing 130,000 square meters. I mean, if you can imagine. But it's also because the halls are divided into like learning, technology, and it's absolutely, and the stands are enormous. But it's also about access. If it wasn't for what we were doing with ISE this year, you have, for example, Samsung was an invitation only stand. It's closed on all sides, and you can't get in unless you have a relationship with them and a very good reason to be there. So that apparently there is going to be more how the future looks, maybe the same way the Monaco Yacht Show is going to become a more and more private show, more concentrated on a higher quality of delegate. ISE is going to go into that direction, and we of course are a professional. The Superyacht Technology Show is a professional show, but we want to keep it very accessible. So I think that's a kind of a major difference. Is we want to offer everybody from BlueWater to other management companies for their people to go free of charge. We provide them with lunch, we provide them with dinner, we take them out to some fantastic parties. They got access to the full conference facility, and we literally don't charge them a penny. So for me, it's logical that management companies should send to their crew, as you do, an invitation to attend, because all they have to cover, which apparently they were offering to do anyway, was the flights and the hotels, and everything else is taken care of. So thank you for supporting that, and we invite all other management companies to do the same with us.
Yeah. Okay. No, it was a great show. It's be interesting to see what happens next year. It's an industry show, whereas of course ISC is a global show. I mean, the Samsung are not interested in me really. They're interested in big buyers and manufacturers and corporate entities, whereas the super yacht sector it's an industry, it's a niche. It's a big niche, but it's a niche. So that should actually improve the relevance of the show to the people that actually go along. Yeah.
I do have to say that it's funny enough. We, Samsung was our partner last year for the show, and maybe again this year. But we also worked very closely with LG, who attended our ISC dinner, and in fact, the senior management from, that had come over as well. So that was quite interesting because they actually do have an interest. It's just that they just have like one or two products currently, but they were also very interested when I had a meeting with them in our kind of, our new section we want to develop, which is like the ultimate, because as you say, why would you go as like a chief stew? Why would you go as in other functions on a super yacht? Well, we said to LG, well, if you're having a stand for your incredible modular TV, or the wall in the case of Samsung, why don't you bring the air purifying systems, which obviously not HVAC ones, but those type of things, the robotic cleaning machines for the windows and things like that. So that is, yes, we are a niche market, but when they spend 2 million on their stand at ISE, we could probably build an incredibly big stand on 1 square meter of their budget, which I think it would make it more realistic.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a good approach. Interestingly, a few years ago, about 5 years ago, the Joey Mean, who runs the guest program for IAMI, took during Mets or the day after, took a whole load of captains and chief stews who came just for that day to the Miele factory in Amsterdam, where they got a
Right.
pretty amazing showcase, and they did an event there across a number of different disciplines, and it was really well attended, and it was fascinating. And it was all about. It wasn't about perhaps quite the same sort of tech as you're presenting, but it was tech. It was the latest washing machine, the sort of the latest smart iron and stuff like that. So it was interesting in its own right, because tech runs across the field, of course.
100%. And it's all then delivers into the charter experience, the owner's experience. I mean, I was at the IdeaWorks Samsung party, because it's held at the Samsung Center in London, and they had all of the amazing self-cleaning. It's basically you put all your shirts and jackets in there, and then lasers analyze it, and then it steams and it vibrates them, and everything comes out absolutely perfect. I mean, to that level, when they go into the detail of what's happening in a washing machine, in an oven, it's it's incredible. As somebody who really loves cooking, I actually have a new steam oven downstairs, not yet installed. It's being installed on the 23rd. So apparently I will in terms of just simply baking, it's absolutely incredible. So we will see. But it should be part of the technology show, if that's what we're saying we are. We're not a AVIT and VSAT show. We've got to reach across every aspect, from the engine room and stabilizers and absolutely engine management systems, yacht management systems, everything out there for us to be a true technology show, which is, of course, why we're quadrupling the capacity of the show this year.
Yeah, and I think that's an admirable goal. So if you can get all the departments on a yacht to engage with it, I think you could be onto a winner, because that is something that's not being done. So yeah, fantastic. I think that could be interesting. Yeah.
Well, is there anything we haven't covered today?
I don't think so. No, I think I've ranted about all I needed to rant about, and
yeah, I've ranted too. So there we go. Yeah, that's great. Look, as always, hope you continue to support us. We'll do this new thing with MYBA, continue to support us at BlueWater, and you personally, thank you as always for not only talking at the show last year, amazing. 100% agree with you that every crew member should have a minimum knowledge of what is happening on board, from understanding of how their radios worked. I mean, I went through the transition from analog to digital, and it was a disaster because nobody understood that it's amazing technology, but it's just different. It's going from a dial phone to a smartphone. There's a hell of a lot of stuff you can do, and it's taken a hell of a long time and a few people to get arrested and a few people
Yeah.
blah 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 to actually transition. Well, I remember this one because I was called down once to the Port in Mallorca to explain to the police how digital mobiles work because somebody was arrested. So yeah, always that one. But hopefully in the future that won't happen, and I won't go on a yacht and somebody says it's not working and they're just holding it the wrong way around. But we'll see for the future. So John, thank you so much for joining me for the Superyacht Technology Network, and I hope we will see you at the Superyacht Technology Show, March 2024 at the World Trade Center in Barcelona. March 20th and 21st. But I said there could be a training day before.
And if you give advantages to MYBA members to go, I'm sure we can get some of our people to go along.
Virtual handshake, it's a done deal. It's a done deal. I think it would work really well, and I'm really interested to see more brokers be able to explain to an owner how things work on board. Definitely, and maybe at some point in the future we might even see some of these young techie owners coming to the show itself. Who knows? We'll bring them in a a hovercraft or something. Who knows? Right. Thank you so much, John. I'll speak to you very soon. Bye.
Thanks, Jack.